we've got some illegal abortion deaths. I don't have a legal abortion anniversary today, but we're going to look at some historic abortion deaths and look at what we can learn from those. February 16th, 1929, a young woman named Ruth died at Orange Memorial Hospital in East Orange, New Jersey. It was sepsis that she contracted through a criminal abortion. Dr. James Chamberlain testified that he'd examined Ruth at her home and admitted her to the hospital because she was septic. And after Ruth died, Dr. Maurice Sturm was charged with first-degree murder because Ruth had implicated him in a deathbed statement. Now, Sturm admitted that he'd performed the abortion, but insisted that it hadn't been illegal because it had been necessary to save Ruth's life. I have not been able to find in any of the documents what the supposed health problem was that he had to perform this abortion on Ruth. It's interesting that after his arrest, Sturm alleged that the district attorney and the judge came to his home and demanded $10,000 or they'd prosecute him to the limit. But at any rate, Sturm was acquitted of the manslaughter charge. Although he does say that he had given $1,000 to the judge, but that was a gift and that wasn't a bribe. So let's make of that what you will. Then we go back in time to 1925 when a 28-year-old homemaker named Agnes died in Chicago's West Side Hospital. And the coroner indicated that a female midwife was responsible, but didn't name the guilty party. And I haven't been able to find any more information about that one. Now we finally get to a self-induced abortion. And I got a lot of information about Pittsburgh and Allegheny County abortions from going to the coroner's office there and going through archives. And testimony to the Allegheny County coroner's jury didn't really clarify much about the death of Mr. Noah, the death of his 34-year-old wife, Helen. He said that she'd been flooding on Sunday, December 14th, 1917, and that he'd gone to Dr. W.J. Connolly, who had prescribed medication for her. She went back to Dr. Connolly, was told she had inflammation of the womb. And then on February 3rd, she told her husband that her monthly had just appeared and she'd used a catheter to see if it would not appear. And I said, when we were talking about another illegal abortion death, that inserting a catheter into the cervix was a common method for doctors to induce abortions at that time. So if she had done this by herself, like she said she had, she would have been using what she would have considered a medical instrument. We don't know if she cleaned it or not. February 5th, Helen took to her bed. Dr. Connolly came to check on her and she told him about the catheter. She kept getting sick. He kept coming to take care of her. Finally, he summoned an ambulance and admitted her to Presbyterian Hospital on February 9th, and she was treated for massive infection until she died at around 3 p.m. on February 16th. And the coroner's jury concluded that she died of septicemia from a self-induced abortion. So it's a really unusual case. I found few self-induced abortions, and some research that was done prior to legalization, both the 1955 Planned Parenthood Conference on Abortion in America found 90% of abortions being done by doctors, and the remaining 10%, they weren't real specific who was doing them. But a researcher named Nancy Howell Lee broke that down a little further in that that was divided up into paramedical professionals such as nurses, midwives, people like that, even lay abortionists who had physicians training them and providing instruments and backup. And a very small percentage were self-induced. It's just that the self-induced were a little bit more likely to be lethal. And then the last one that we have for February 16th is in 1890, where a young woman named Mary died in Chicago from an illegal abortion. According to the Homicide in Chicago Interactive Database, she died at the location where the abortion was performed. and a Mrs. Annie Schneider was arrested and held by the coroner's jury, and they didn't say what her profession was, so I wasn't able to get any more details about that one.